Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to day 5 of Vedo. When we are continuing on with our TBR to zero journey, and in order to do that, we have to go through all of my precious pretty books. So we are on the shelf right here, and let's just get right into it. Okay, so this shelf is packed. There's some up here, not even where they're supposed to be. So let's start with these two. These two were parts of my newest book haul, so I'm going to be keeping both of these. And then I have 4 Sandra Brown books. So back in the day, like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, okay, like 13 years ago probably at this point, I loved Sandra Brown. It was something that Grandma and I would talk about. We talked about Sandra Brown and Patricia Cornwell, and I haven't read Sandra Brown or Patricia Cornwell in a very long time, but I found these after Baga passed away and I had to get them, so the goal is to read them. I'm going to keep all 4 of them. I don't care what they're about. Okay, so then we have The Window by Amelia Brunskill. I'm sorry, Michael, but I'm finally going to get rid of this. It's like a twin sister type of thriller, and I think my friend accidentally ordered 2 copies and she gave me one, and I haven't even thought of reading this, to be quite honest with you, so I'm gonna unhaul it. Okay, and then there's The Better Sister by Alfair Burke. I feel like I butchered that. Oh, okay, this year's Gone Girl. What? No. Okay, it's a domestic thriller. I'm gonna unhaul this one. And then I have these 2, both by Michelle Campbell. There's It's Always the Husband and A Stranger on the Beach. I don't know what these ones are about, so I'm gonna put them in my maybe pile. This is Girl 11 by Amy Suter Clark. This has to do with, there's some kind of podcast element in this. I think it follows a cold case, and there's this old detective who is now like in charge of this podcast and is trying to figure out what happened in this cold case that she was investigating 20 years ago. I'm gonna keep it. Then I also went on a Harlan Coben kick, and I read 2 of his books. The first one was like okay, I gave it 4 stars. It was a good thriller. The second one I absolutely hated, so I've been terrified to read anything else by this author. So I think I'm going to put this in my maybe, and we're going to go through each Harlan Coben that I have, because I have 5 here, and that's too many books to have of an author you are unsure that you like. I honestly got Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby because of the hype. I need to stop doing that. But I'm not entirely sure what this one's about either, so maybe pile. The Perfect Wife by J.P. Delaney. I read The Girl Before by J.P. Delaney, so this was an author by maybe A Nearly Normal Family by M.T. Everson. Again, Maybe, because I don't know what it's about. Never Look Back by Allison Galen is a keeper, because I just got that one. Okay. I have 3 here that are I'm just going to put them in the maybe pile. Okay. Let's talk about these maybe thrillers. Okay, well, I mean, they're all thrillers, but the maybes on shelf number 2. First is The Sea of Lost Girls by Carol Goodman. From the outside, Tessa's life looks pretty good. She's the wife of a respected department head at an elite boarding school. Ooh, where she teaches. Her 17-year-old son, Rudy, whose dark moods and complicated behavior she's long worried about, seems to at last be thriving. And then she gets a phone call from Rudy at like 2 a.m. Hey, Mom, can you come get me? And when she goes, he's covered in blood. And the next day, you find out that Rudy's girlfriend has been murdered. And of course, Tess covers for her son. I think I have to keep this. I just forget about it when it's up there with the rest of my books, but every time I read the back, it's like, oh my gosh, that sounds so good. The Roanoke Girls by Amy Engel. Okay, so it says that there's this deep, dark secret about the Roanoke girls, that either they die or they run. This girl, Lane, runs, and then she comes back because her cousin goes missing. I'm gonna unhaul this one. Oh wait, no, this is not a sound by Heather Gundenkoff. When a tragic accident leaves nurse Amelia Wynne deaf, she loses everything that matters, her job, her husband, and her stepdaughter. Now, 2 years later, with the help of her hearing dog Stitch, she's finally getting back on her feet. But when she discovers the body of a fellow nurse in the dense bush by the river, deep in the woods near her cabin, she's plunged into a disturbing mystery that could shatter her reconstructed life. Put this in the maybe, like the permanent maybe. It sounds alright, but there's nothing like throwing me back into it, and honestly, like, the text is so small, and it's almost like a mass market paperback, and you know how I feel about those. I don't like them, so I don't know why I buy them. A Nearly Normal Family by M.T. Edverson. I believe this follows a girl. Okay, it says a father's faith, a daughter's loyalty, a mother's ethics. A Nearly Normal Family. Okay, so this follows this girl named Stella. She's 18, and she's being accused of murdering this 40-year-old businessman, but everyone is trying to figure out why they were hanging out together anyway, and I think it's multiple points of view, because you get mom, dad, and daughter Stella, and I really want to know what happened. So, intensely suspenseful legal thriller. That sounds like perfection. The Perfect Wife by J.P. Delaney. Okay. The Perfect Life, The Perfect Love, The Perfect Lie. Abby awakens in a daze with no memory of who she is or how she landed in this unsettling condition. The man by her side claims to be her husband. He's a titan of the tech world, the founder of one of Silicon Valley's most innovative startups. He tells Abby that she is a gifted artist, an avid surfer, a loving mom to their young son, and the perfect wife. He says she has a terrible accident 5 years ago, and that through a huge technological breakthrough, she is brought back from the abyss. Okay, so the thing is that I've read something by J.P. Delaney, and I really, really loved it. But I'm not sure how I feel about, like, someone... Basically, I feel like she died. She was dead for 6 years, and then she finally came back to life by, like, science, you know? And I don't know. I'm not completely sold on that aspect of it. So, again, maybe Kyle. Razor Blade Tears by S.A. Cosby. So, I think I fell into the hype on this one. And I don't... As much as I think this might be a really good book, I mean, I'm sure it's a great book, I'm not sure if it's for me. So, I think I'm going to unhaul this one. Then we have 5 books by Harlan Coben. So I think we're going to just do one at a time and either pick as we go. We can keep, unhaul, or maybe. Just like the rest, but one at a time. So Harlan Coben, The Stranger. This one I think I have on audio, so my new favorite way to read books is to read them physically and follow along with the audiobook. Or I guess listen to them and follow along with my eyes. Either way, it's the same thing. But let's see what this says. Because if it's a book I'm sure I'm not going to love, then I'll keep it just on audio. And then I don't have to have this big, huge, like, monster of a book on my shelf anymore. The stranger appears out of nowhere, perhaps in a bar or a parking lot or at the grocery store. His identity is unknown. His motives are unclear. His information is undeniable. Then he whispers a few words in your ear and disappears, leaving you picking up the pieces of your shattered world. Adam has a lot to lose, a comfortable marriage to a beautiful woman, 2 wonderful sons, and all the trappings of the American dream. A big house, a good job, a seemingly perfect life. Then he runs into the stranger when he learns a devastating secret. This is a dive-in, lose sleep, and miss your bus stop reading experience. My favorite kind. Oh, but that's Missing You, which I think I have. You know what? For right now, I'm going to keep this one. It sounds good. Okay. Then No Second Chances by Harlan Coben. Yeah, so mass market paperback. I don't know why I do this to myself. I know I don't like these. Shot Twice by an Unseen Assailant. Dr. Mark Steedman lies in a hospital bed. His wife has been killed. His 6-month-old daughter has vanished. But just when his world seems forever shattered, the ransom note arrives. We are watching. If you contact the authorities, you will never see your daughter again. There will be no second chance. With no one to trust, and in a deepening quicksand of deception and deadly secrets, Mark clings to one unwavering vow. Bring home his daughter at any cost. That sounds really good. Then we have Miss You. Oh, I can already tell you I'm going to keep this one. This one follows an NYPD detective named Kat Donovan, who is pretending she's... Okay, see, I thought she was like an investigator on a site pretending to be a child and, you know, like... Yeah, I thought it was going to be dark like that. This one doesn't... A nightmare is just a click away. I'm going to put this one on my maybe as well. Because it says, surfing an online dating site, NYPD detective Kat Donovan feels her whole world explode. Staring back at her is her ex-fiancé, the man who shattered her heart and whom she hasn't seen in 18 years. But when Kat reaches out to the man in the profile, an unspeakable conspiracy comes to light. As Kate begins to investigate, her feelings are challenged about everyone she's ever loved, even her dad, whose cruel murder so long ago has never been fully explained. With lives on the line, including her own, Kat must venture deeper into the darkness than she has ever before and discover if she has the strength to survive what she finds there. You know what? To be quite honest, that doesn't... I'm just going to do it. I'm unhauling it. Whoa. Twist of events. Okay, and then we have Hold Tight by Harlan Coben, which I know I'm going to keep because this follows this husband and this wife, Tia and Mike, who are spying on their 16-year-old son after their son's best friend commits suicide. Now they're worried about their son, and they're like, well, I guess he's skipping school and, he's rebelling and he's also going through a lot of grief and they don't trust their son. So, I don't know. It sounds like it might have layers and I'm interested. This is Gone for Good by Harlan Coben. I think I found it at the thrift store. And it was during a time that I was collecting all of his books because I have a lot of them, I just haven't read any of them. Go me, goals. As a boy, Will had a hero, his older brother Ken. Then on a warm suburban night in the Klein's, New Jersey neighborhood, a young woman, a girl Will had once loved, was found brutally murdered in her family's basement. The prime suspect is Ken. When the evidence against him is overwhelming, Ken simply vanished, and when his shattered family never heard from Ken again, they were sure he was gone for good. You know what? I'm going to unhaul this one. And then our last two are the Michelle Campbell books. It's Always the Husband and A Stranger on the Beach. So let's try A Stranger on the Beach. Carolina's beach house was supposed to be her crowning achievement, a lavish, expansive space to showcase what she thought was her perfect family. But things may not be as perfect as they seem. Her husband is lying to her, the money is disappearing, and there's a stranger on the beach outside of her house. As Caroline's marriage and her carefully constructed life begin to collapse around her, she turns to Aiden, the stranger, for comfort and revenge. After a brief and desperate fling that means nothing to Caroline and everything to him, Aiden's infatuation with Caroline, her family, and her house becomes more and more destructive. But who is manipulating whom in this deadly game of obsession and control? Who will take the blame when someone ends up dead? Let's think about that one for a minute. This one is It's Always the Husband by Michelle Campbell. Kate, Aubrey, and Jenny first met as college roommates and soon became inseparable. Despite being as different as three women can be, Kate was beautiful, wild, wealthy, and damaged. Aubrey, on financial aid, came from a broken home and wanted more than anything to distance herself from her past. Jenny was a striver, brilliant, ambitious, and determined to succeed. As an unlikely friendship formed, the three of them swore they would always be there for one another. 20 years later, one of them is standing on the edge of a bridge, and someone is urging her to jump. Whew. I'm keeping that. I didn't really have that same reaction for A Stranger on the Beach, so I think I'm going to unhaul A Stranger on the Beach. So that was shelf number 2 of our unhaul project so that we can get our TBR to 0. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I will see you tomorrow.